school. Some of those classes were really, really boring. Well, next on the show, we're going to be talking to the head of a nonprofit that's really bringing lesson plans alive. That's just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is The Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, one of my favorite movies of all time is Dead Poets Society with Robin Williams, a great actor, and we all remember how he brought that lesson plan alive to those young men. Somebody who I'll put in that same category is my guest right now, Joseph Vincelli. He's the CEO, founder of the Artist Outreach, a nonprofit here in Dallas. Thank you for coming on the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Very cool. You didn't know I was going to compare you to the late great Robin Williams.
Yeah, that's pretty great. Thank you.
But the germ of an idea that made lesson plans come alive in that great movie is really what you're embracing with music and entertainment, right?
That's right. Yeah, germ is a good word for it. Yeah, you want to create a seed that will help blossom somebody's educational needs.
Give us an overview. Tell us more about the Artist Outreach.
Yeah, so the organization focuses on using creativity as a way to help educate. We like to say that we help students from age 6 to 60 because we have a lot of veteran programs, but the primary one is really for the youngest of the youngest, and that is from age 5 through about 10, third, fourth grade.
And you're working with young people all across DFW. There's a nice little video that we found on your website. Let's go ahead and roll a clip now.
Cool. Yeah, so this is showing a variety of different dances that we do. Essentially what we're trying to do is most students who are not proficient in language and numbers by the age of 10 have a hard time ever graduating because they just don't understand, they don't keep up. And so we try to use dance and original music and different creative ideas that will help the teacher teach, but primarily help the student learn. And so that is the purpose behind what we do.
I want to hear the history of this. The organization's now 8 years old.
That's right.
Yeah. How did it start?
Yeah, pretty exciting. I am a recording artist. I play saxophone and flute. I used to play the national anthem for 20 years for the Dallas Stars and the Mavericks.
Very cool.
And so I've been here for a little while, although not originally from this area. But I've always been intrigued as a musician, as an artist, how much music and rhythm and sound has to do with our world. And so I started creating a book. I did a lot of research in my college years, and I wrote the book in my late 20s and early 30s on the effects of sound. And so it was really the catalyst to the whole program that we do with the children. Since then, I have patented hardware and software programs to help students learn. But the primary thing is to help them learn through the logistics of music and sound and dance and art design. So it's all creative.
And you've become something of a media darling. There's a nice article that we want to put on the screen right now. That has to feel good when you get recognized by the media.
Yeah, for sure. In fact, this particular article, it's really exciting. We were picked up by Stand Together Foundation, which is a national organization that only chooses 15 nonprofits throughout the country per year, and we were one of the 15 last year. And as they say, once a catalyst, always a catalyst. So they don't just write a check. They give you an incredible amount of executive education, and they stay with you throughout the years so that your nonprofit will grow correctly and grow hopefully large.
Wow, it's a wonderful nonprofit. I'm wondering, did you have any difficulty at all breaking into schools? Did you have to convince some people, hey, this is a cool thing?
You must have children. I'll tell you what, it was very difficult in the beginning. We had to learn how to essentially play within the sandbox of education, and then, of course, within each teacher's classroom. Here's the thing. A lot of nonprofits that might do something similar to us, they do it out of school or after school, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we have been focusing on our efforts in school, inside the classroom. So you have to get basically the admiration of the superintendent, the cabinet, the principal, the teachers, all of the school. And so we've been able to do that. And so, like, for example, Mesquite ISD, we're in every elementary school within the district. So that's 33 or 35 elementary schools.
What was the first school district to adopt you guys?
The first program that was extensive was actually TCU. They have a program for students who learn differently. It's called Star Point School. And we came in to audition for them. Now, these are highly educated teachers. And we came in there and just kind of did what we did. And they were blown away. They said, we've got to have these guys, because they saw that it was a different way of teaching.
Yes.
And so that started it. And then, fortunately, Mesquite was our first big public school because the superintendent had seen me present. We're now, like I said, in Dallas ISD and Fort Worth, and we're excited about the future.
Does it get easier and easier now that you have such a wonderful track record?
Yes and no. As a nonprofit, you know that there's always a challenge. Challenge is always, one is funding, but really it's interest. We have to tell people all the time, it's not just money. We have to have the interest of a school that will take us on. So it's a pairing of finding a new principal that understands the methodology, and then finding someone who will actually fund it.
Wow. Okay, let's talk about the pandemic. It's hard to do a show these days without talking about it.
Right.
How did it impact your nonprofit?
You know what? 2020 was not so bad for us, and the reason why is because we had our own software portal that had videos, and we used it mainly for training our own staff. But we, as I said, we have a lot of creatives within our staff, and we have a wonderful music producer who I found out that loved videography. Who knew? So the great thing was we were able to use his skills from the funding that we were receiving to be able to create so many different virtual videos from the beginning of the pandemic till recently. This will become a new part of our programming, and truthfully, I don't think it's going to end. Hopefully, pandemic will end soon, but I think this part of the programming will continue for years to come.
As you look into the future, are you hoping this is a national program one day?
I would like so. I know it's a lot of work at any level. I've been told, "You sure you want to go national?" But we are regional, and it grows. It grows when it grows. So you just kind of keep pushing the efforts out there, and as somebody understands the education of it behind it.
Well, he's not just a nice guy. He's one of the saxiest guys I've ever met. Pun intended. You brought a sax with you. Can you give us a little holiday jam?
Sure. So if you don't mind me for 30, let me entertain you for a second.
Yeah, you bet.
So many years ago, I had performed a TV interview, and it was Tyler, Texas, in August. Now, you know how hot it can be here in Dallas,
sure.
in Texas. And it was so warm that day that it went from 102 degrees outside into, of course, a studio that was probably like 58 degrees. And my mind went bush. So instead of playing the Over the Rainbow, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, I played the Christmas song because it starts off the same. So I had to quickly, figure out a way to get out of that one. So I thought, being that it's Christmas time, I might just play the Christmas song.
The floor is yours.
Okay.
And the crowd goes crazy. All right, tell me, how would you use the sax in a school
with the kids? Yeah. So, for example, again, we're teaching math and language. So, for example, yes, we play it, for a minute, but But really what we're teaching is we explain that this is in a conal shape. So they're learning about cones in 3D shapes in second grade. So explain that this is in a conal shape. And that kind of thing. So, but a lot of times we just play the music that we create with them, and then use it as a way to help them understand through the engagement of music.
Wow. Do you ever hear back from the kids years later? I mean, you've been doing it now for 8 years. Do you ever run across somebody who says, "Hey, you guys came to my school," or I remember you guys?
Yeah, because we're only 8 years old, we haven't seen them grown up all the way through college yet, but we do see them come back from middle school. They'll come back to see us, and then more importantly is that the teachers and the parents will have things to say years later, and how important it has been as a program for them.
Wow. Well, you have been such an inspiration. We'll absolutely have to have you back. We're going to put the website up in the segment. theartistoutreach.org is the website. They could use your donations and involvement and follow them on social media. Thank you so much, Joseph.
Thank you.
You
Appreciate
bet.
it, Jeff.
And that's it for now. We'll see you next time.